Hey guys, what's going on? So today I'm standing in front of the tent, as you guys can see, and it's empty. There's no more Impala in there, so that means we got to move something into the tent, right? Well, we do have something to move in the tent, and it's been a long time coming for this car. I've been teasing this car in the background of some of my videos, and finally today you guys will be able to see it for the first time, at least up close and in depth a little bit. And pretty excited for this one, guys. I think you guys will enjoy this one as well. I know that some of you are sick of this kind of car, but it is what it is. Well, this is a 1996 Chevrolet Lumina, and boy, does this thing have a story behind it. Whew. It's been a long time coming. So back in 2018, that's right, 2018, I was passing by this car, taking the Buick Century down to Brookfield, and obviously it looked fairly clean, and I was like, man, I wonder if they'd like to sell that car. And a few months later I noticed it was sitting there, and the property almost looked like it was abandoned, and the car looked, I don't think it even had any license plate on it by that point, that or it was just sitting there and it was obvious it wasn't being used. So I ended up spending quite some time getting the contact information for the owner for this car, and ended up getting a hold of one of their family members, and they said, well, let me talk to such and such and see if they want to sell it, and I'll get back to you on it either way. Well, I never got any call back or anything like that, and 5 years later I said, you know what, I'm gonna go try again. I hadn't found the Impala yet, and I also hadn't found the Regal. So I said, let me go try that Lumina again. And this time, instead of spending because I didn't remember the phone number and I didn't know where it was, I wrote it down and I put it somewhere or something like that. And I just didn't want to spend days trying to look it up again, just to get no avail. So what I ended up doing is I went up to the house and I left a note on the door. As I was walking back to my Buick there, it was, by coincidence, the neighbor walks out and says, hey, what are you doing here? He's had problems with people trespassing on the property before, and this car has its own story as far as that goes. And what ended up happening is I told him, look, I just wanted to buy the Chevy Lumina, and he says, well, I think the owner actually might want to get rid of it, so let me get into contact with them and I'll get back to you. And sure enough, I got into contact with the owner, and we worked out a deal, and now the car is mine. But they did tell me when I was buying this thing that this car was actually stolen off the property. I noticed it did move over those 5 years. It moved once or twice, but one of the times it moved is because it got stolen, and that's what this damage is on this driver's fender here. It actually got dropped in a ditch. They cut the catalytic converter off, and so and I didn't even get access to the keys to this thing. They were locked into a trailer or something like that. It was a messed up situation. Either way, I had to replace the ignition lock cylinder in this thing. But you'll see that in a little bit. But the main question is, over those 5 years, if the car was clean before, is it still clean now? Well, let's take a look. Taking a look underneath here, well, she's still very, very clean. Look at that frame. Barely any surface rust at all. Over there we do have surface frame on the subframe, but that's not such a big deal. And right under here, where the Buick Regals were rotted out. All the Regals I've had are rotted out here. This thing's barely got any surface rust on it. It's unbelievable. And just like that 98 Chevy Lumina, we have another clean W body, and this time it's a 96 Lumina. And I'm very excited for that. But let's go ahead and talk about that ignition lock cylinder and how I end up bypassing security, because obviously with no key, these are chipped key, I had to bypass security. Well, we ended up, after a few tries, ended up finding the correct resistance, and there you go, there's the resistor tied in. And the one I bought off of, I think I bought it off of Amazon was just a non-chipped key, so you had to basically figure out that resistance and put that resistor in. But after all that, this thing does run. But let me go ahead and show you what's underneath the hood first. You will notice it is a floor shifter, and this thing was busted up a little bit. I actually put this all back into place. This was all, as you guys can see, they pried up right there on it, and they disconnected the shifter and everything to steal it. And they actually ended up busting the neutral safety switch as well. Well, with the floor shifter, you know what that means. It's probably 3800. Well, no, it's 3100. Very rare pairing. I don't think I've ever seen that before, and I talked to a buddy and he never saw it before, so I don't know what's going on here. They have a floor shifter with the 3100. I'm not gonna complain. I like that. That's not too bad. Here's that old neutral safety switch. There's quite a bit of surface rust under here though. I will say that for sure. Sitting under trees for years also did not help it, and the firewall, it actually rotted out the firewall a little bit there at the top because moisture and stuff and leaves and pine needles and a whole bunch of stuff getting stuck in the windshield wiper tray there. Just kind of rotted it out a little bit, but not too bad. Obviously that really doesn't structurally affect this car. So anyway, she's looking pretty good up front. But let me go ahead and start it up for you guys. You know, I didn't think it'd run very well for sitting for 5 years, especially with the old gas that was in it. Well, I was wrong. She still runs very well. I couldn't believe it when we first started up. I hit the key and it just fired right up. Fired right up. I couldn't believe it. And she drives good. You guys can see here. Goes right into reverse. Right into drive. So, very happy. And the reason why this car is so clean is because this actually was a New York City car. And down in New York City, around that area anyway, they don't lay nearly as much salt down on the roads. So that's why my Suburban's also so clean, because it came from the city. And well, here's another one from the city that's real clean. And I think even the 98 Lumina was kind of that same situation. And very happy to have this car. You guys can see I already have it stuffed with stuff for Demolition Derby, but this is going to be a 2024 car. I do plan on running it bone stock, and I know that's gonna make some of you Derby guys cringe, but I am gonna run it bone stock. I just think Luminas stand a better chance bone stock, to be honest with you. Plus, I just don't wanna, if I'm gonna, you know, build a mini meltdown car, or, you know, anything that's gonna be built, it's gonna be a Camry, because at shows where you might run a feature, if you need parts, finding parts for a Lumina at one of those shows versus a Camry is way different. You can find Camry parts everywhere because everybody runs Camrys basically at a mini meltdown or any of those big shows that, you know, there's a lot of money going around, and it's all for mini cars. So, you know, that's the route to go, really, is Camrys. Even Honda Accords, you can find a decent amount of parts for them too. But not so much these W bodies. There's just not that many W bodies left to run, period, that are decently clean underneath, that you don't have to go states away just to grab. So it is what it is. But what I'll do is I'll just run this bone stock, and I think she'll do fairly well bone stock. I'll build this back end exactly like I did on the 98 and use this back end as much as I possibly can until it's really collapsing in, hopefully. But well, I guess that pretty much covers it. That's the introduction to the 96 Chevrolet Lumina. Now, we do have another couple derbies coming up this year. We got Brookfield and we got San Filippo Smash. I will not be recording San Filippo Smash because, one, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to make it there, and two, if if I'm going there, I'm probably just going to watch it because it's a lot of fun to watch. I like watching at least one of the derbies during the year, and I like running around the pits and just maybe helping people out or meeting people. So I don't know, it's just a lot of fun. Without recording, and it's already a well-documented derby anyway, from racing and Track Shot Live and people like that. So not really a big deal for me not to record. But Brookfield, obviously, we got coming up actually next weekend, I believe. So coming up pretty quick. But guys, you know I'm crazy, so I'm gonna keep trying to find a derby car for Brookfield or for San Filippo. I don't know if I'm if I'm gonna get a derby car for San Filippo, then I'm definitely gonna be at San Filippo. But if I get a car for Brookfield, then, well, I guess we'll have some content coming soon. We'll see. I don't have any car now. I'll just disclose that right now. Don't get your hopes up. I don't have a car, so stay tuned. There's more content coming either way. So like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye, everybody.